This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 8, verse 18, and it reads, "But thou shalt remember the Lord YAHAWAH, thy power, for it is he that giveth thee power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he sware unto thy fathers, as it is this day." This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 4, verse 29, and it reads, "And Yahweh gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceeding much, and largeness of heart, mind, even as the sand that is on the seashore." Verse 30, "And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country, and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, than Ethan, the Ezrahite, and Heman, and Calcol, and Darda, and the sons of Mahol, and his fame was in all nations round about. And he spake 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. And he spake of trees from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of beasts, and of fowl, and of creeping things, and of fishes. And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon from all kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom." And with that, giving all praises, glory, and honor unto YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, QADASH, by whom we do function. YAHAWAH is the name of the Heavenly Father, in whom the world is ignorantly called Jehovah or Yahweh. And YAHAWASHI is the name of his only begotten Son, in whom the world is ignorantly called Jesus Christ. And in the RAWCHAA QADASH, which is the Holy Spirit, we do all things, and we understand all things pertaining unto salvation. Okay, to the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad, greetings, giving double honors unto my apostles, my elders, and my teachers at Great Millstone that are ruling well and continue to do so, that taught me and brothers like me this truth, this beautiful truth, beginning with the names of our power and of his anointed. Now these are the two most important things you will ever know: the name of the Heavenly Father and the name of his only begotten Son, to call upon and be saved in these last and troubling days. Their true and proper names in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, our language, the Lashawan Kodash, which means holy tongue. Lashawan meaning tongue, and Kodash meaning holy. Now these be the names that are written. The name of the Heavenly Father is YAHAWAH. Yah meaning he, Hawa meaning exists or is to be. He is, he exists. He, the existing one. For he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And in the name of his only begotten Son, that has a name that is above every name, that we must call upon and be saved, even the name, his true and proper name, YAHAWASHI. Yah, meaning he, Hawashai, meaning deliverer and savior. And that is exactly what he would come and do for the second time in physical form, yet as an angelic force. For he has already saved us from ourselves, from sin and from death, so that we may enter into a new agreement, a new covenant, yet based on better promises made with the same people, even Israel, beginning with the hopeful elect, even that house of David, the household of faith. For we shall enter into eternal life. For where there is no sin, there is no death. And the law that was placed on stone shall be placed within our inward parts through him. And we shall know life eternal, the one true power, and the one whom he hath sent. So with that, Lord's willing, this is an edifying lesson. Just a continuation of the series. Fight for Jerusalem. Okay. House management. Economy. That's what I'll call it. House management, economy. All right, going into Solomon and his greatness and his wisdom excelled all kings of the east. And we got to remember that Solomon, through David, conquered a very strategic place known as the King's Highway. All right. And through that highway, which is still a trade route to this day for commerce, he actually took possession of that. David, guided by warfare. And when during the time of Solomon, everything was peaceful. All was at peace. And David subdued and subjected all nations round about. So when Solomon came to power, all the nations were willing to do business with him, because David, during his era, had put them down. They had no military might, and all they really had to do their swords and their swords and their weapons were beaten into pruning hooks and plowshares. So they turned their economies from militarized or warfare into agricultural or economical, or agricultural for economics. They became trade partners, so to speak, with Solomon instead of actual enemies, even though they were still enemies. All right, but they were subject unto Solomon. Now this is 1 Kings 4:1. So King Solomon was king over all Israel. And these were the princes which he had: Azariah the son of Zadok the priest, Eli, Horeph, and Ahiah the sons of Shisha, scribes, Jehoshaphat and the son of Ahilud the recorder, and Benaniah the son of Jehoiada was over the host, and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests, and Azariah the son of Nathan was over the officers, and Zabud the son of Nathan was principal officer and the king's friend, and Ahishar was over the household, and Adoniram the son of Abda was over the tribute, all right, the labor force. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel. This is beautiful because there's 12 tribes, 12 officers over Israel. Now he's managing a government, and economy goes back to house management. So he's managing his house, our nation. Then he's going to extend outward to the other nations. How about that? It says Solomon also had 12 district governors who were over all Israel. They were responsible for providing food for the king's household. Each of them arranged provisions for 1 month of the year, which was 12 months in a year. But let me get this. No disturbances. Okay. And this is going to be an intro into the lesson. I'm going to get right into it, and Lord's willing, it'll be an even greater lesson. Now it says, verse 8, these are the names of the 12 governors: Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim, Ben-Deker in Makaz, Sha'albim, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon, Beth-Tanan, Ben-Hesed in Aruboth, including Soko and all the land of Hefer, Abinadab in all the Naphoth Dor, Tuphath, one of Solomon's daughters, or he was married to Tuphath, one of Solomon's daughters, Baana, son of Ahilud, in Ta'anak, and Megiddo, all of Bethshan, near Zarathan, below Jezreel, and all the territory from Bethshan to Abel Meholah, and over Jok-Meam, Ben-Geber, in Ramoth of Gilead, including the towns of Jair, named of Jair of the tribe of Manasseh, and Gilead, and in the Argob region of Bashan, including 60 large fortified towns with bronze bars on their gates, and Ahinadab, son of Edo, in Mahanaim, all right, which is a very central town or city, all right, which means 2 camps. I believe it was the very place that Jacob was going to meet Esau, if I'm not mistaken. There's a camp of the Lord and then his own a band, all right, which the actual name Mahanaim means 2 camps. The same place that Ishbosheth was when Abner, I believe, was slain by Joab, and there was a pact that was going to be made between Abner and David, so that David can get all Israel under him as king. Is a very central place. Reading on, Ahimaaz in Naphtali, he was married to Basmath, another of Solomon's daughters. Baana, son of Hushai, in Asher, and in Aloth, Jehoshaphat son of Paruah in Issachar, Shimei son of Elah in Benjamin, Geber, which I believe is another Shimei, not the one that cursed David, because he is should be long dead. It says Geber son of Uri in the land of Gilead, including the territories of King Sihon of the Amorites and King Og of Bashan. There was also one governor over the land of Judah. Solomon's prosperity and wisdom. It says the people of Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand of the seashore. They were very contented with plenty to eat and drink. Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates River in the north to the land of the Philistines and the border of Egypt in the south. The conquered people of those lands sent tribute money to Solomon and continued to serve him throughout his lifetime. Now, this is economy, house management. So the people of Israel were great. They were married. They were drinking. It was a golden age, so to speak. And all the kingdoms round about were sending tribute. But yet they were yet going to be put more to work because they're going to make pacts and alliances, and trade routes were going to be opened up. Hence the King's Highway, which is a very important strategic place. And also Solomon was going to be over all the traffic by land and sea, because he's going to send ships to Ophir. And if brothers know, the land of Ophir is the Americas, where they're going to get gold and different precious metals and apes and peacocks and different exotic things from this land over here that would take a year and a half to get here and a year and a half to get back, which is 3 years in total. All right, we're going to get into that. Lord's willing, I have the time. Now let's go into the daily food, because you got to remember, you imagine not only your household, but a kingdom. All right, you got food coming in, you got provisions, you got, the economy, house management. The money is good, the land is good, work is plenty. All right, continuing employment, so to speak. And this is an inkling of the kingdom that is to come in YAHAWASHI, for greater than Solomon is here, even YAHAWASHI. And we know through the Spirit, if you can receive it, YAHAWASHI is Solomon, was Solomon, and he's greater than Solomon, because he's going to be in his final form. He's not going to be subject to the flesh. He's going to be in a glorious body, and we're going to fashion a body like unto his glorious body and live forever, be an image of the Lord, Yahweh's own eternity. Now, this is verse 22. The daily food requirements for Solomon's palace were 150 bushels of choice flour and 300 bushels of meal. Also 10 oxen from the fattening pens, 20 pasture-fed cattle, 100 sheep or goats, as well as deer, gazelles, roe deer, and choice of poultry. Solomon's dominion extended over all the kingdoms west of the Euphrates River, from Tipsah to Gaza, and there was peace on all his borders. Because, hey, if there's peace on all the borders, then the borders are going to be open to what? Trade. Hence the King's Highway. It says, during the lifetime of Solomon, all of Judah and Israel lived in peace and safety. And from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, each family had its own home and garden. Woo! Each family? Man, there's a lot of families. Come on now. It's peace. So it's not only abundance in the land, and then there's the farmland, there's provisions, there's enterprise, there's unity, then there's the provisions of the lands without our land. Come on now. Now that's an economy right there. House management. All right. The fight for Jerusalem. Jerusalem is a people place. If people are on point, then, hey, our land is going to be on point. And then the rest of the nations are going to get in line, because they're going to go up to see, just as many came from far and near to hear the wisdom of Solomon, hey, the law that's going to be placed within our inward parts, all the nations are going to know this is a wise and understanding people. Let me get that real quick. Okay. As the ruler is, so are the people. Wise and understanding. Okay. Yep. Deuteronomy 4 and 6. Keep therefore and do them, which is our law. For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So the king is. All right. So our king is going to be, you know, the image of us all, which is Hamashiach. King is. So when it comes up, bear with me, brothers. Man, hey, and then the elect is going to be reigning in the kingdom with Hamashiach. The 144,000 is going to be that governing body, just as Solomon had over his districts 12 in each part of the year. And he had officers and captains and guards and all of that. Hey, the 144,000 is going to be doing the administrative work, even though all our people are going to be good and all our men are going to be kings and rulers, judges, but there's going to be a governing body among Israel. All right, beginning with the hopeful elect. Under YAHAWASHI will be directly who? King David, and then the 12 in their order, and then the rest of the 144,000. Wisdom of Solomon 6 and 24. But the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world of Israel, and even the earth. And a wise king is the upholding of the people. And Solomon was a wise king. All right, over the people. All right, let's see here. Right. Did I read that already? Yep, I believe that was it. But bear with me, brothers. Oh, there's another part about the king. Bear with me, brothers. I don't think it was Messiah, Ecclesiasticus. But I'm not sure exactly where it is, but we shall see. Bear with me, brothers. Yep. Ecclesiasticus 10 and 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man, a careful man, a man of quick perception, sagacious, is well ordered. As the judge of the people is himself, so are all his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. See that? So, hey, our people were good. Let's read that again. This is 1 Kings 4 and 25. During the lifetime of Solomon, all of Judah and Israel lived in peace and safety. And from Dan in the north to Beersheba in the south, each family had its own home and garden. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for his chariot horses, and he had 12,000 horses. The district governors faithfully provided food for King Solomon and his court. Each made sure nothing was lacking during the month assigned to him. They also brought the necessary barley and straw for the royal horses in the stables. YAHAWAH gave Solomon very great wisdom and understanding and knowledge as vast as the sand of the seashore. And we read that already. But let's get up out of there and go to the next chapter. Let's go a chapter above. Yep, we're going to go here. This is how Solomon making things happen. All right, now we see how prosperous the kingdom was in his hands. Let's see the first steps of it being put into order. Okay, this is Solomon's rule consolidated. All right, it says, and Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, because you got to remember, even during the time down to the time of the Romans used Egypt for its grain. It was the main epicenter of the food that Rome used to sustain itself. So Egypt was a very strategic place. Now, even though Egypt wasn't a world power as it was when Israel left during the time of Moses, it was still a regional power. It was never a world power, but it was a regional power, and Solomon knew this. All right, just as Joseph saved it from famine, those granaries were still there, and Solomon knew about that. Just as Solomon knew that there was land on this side of the world before any other king knew or any other people knew to even sail west. He knew that there was land here, the land even of Ophir, all right, where you get the best gold. And that's why the northern tribes knew how to sail to this side of the world when they left the Assyrian captivity. It goes to show you, you see. It says, and Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter. And this was an alliance that he made through marriage. It says, and brought her into the city of David, which is Jerusalem, until he made an end of building his own house, and the house of the Lord, the temple, and the wall of Jerusalem round about. Only the people sacrificed in high places, because there was no house built unto the name of the Lord Yahawah until those days. And Solomon loved the Lord Yahawah, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the great high place. 1,000 burnt offerings did Solomon offer upon that altar. In Gibeon the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and Yahawah asked, what shall I give thee? And we already know Solomon asked for wisdom. All right. And the Lord gave him just that. Let me see here. We're going to go into it a little bit. Okay. And we got Solomon's judgment that he gave of those two women. Okay. Now let's go to 1 Kings 5. All right. It says alliance with King Hiram. All right. For the building of the temple and other things, even a navy, for the traffic on sea. And he had the traffic by land because he took possession of the King's Highway. And it was beautiful because the King's Highway is really held preferably by Edom. All right, but since David subdued Edom, especially during the battle of the Valley of Salt, all right, it says Syrians in certain places, but we know it's Edom. And we got to remember Edom had control of the King's Highway, so to speak, because it was the same highway that Moses and our people were going to take to get into our land when we were leaving Egypt. And the king of Edom at the time said he was going to come out with a strong hand, and he did not let us pass through there. So when David, during the wars, took the different lands and put garrisons in the land of Edom, best believe we took the King's Highway. All right? And through that highway, hey, we were the epicenter of the world. All nations had to pass through there, whether it be by land or sea. And it's still a highway that's used to this day. All right? Even though it may be under a different name, but all know in that region, oh, this is the King's Highway. All right? This is the connection from Arabia to Syria on down to Egypt, all right, and beyond. It says, alliance with King Hiram. It says, and Hiram, king of Tyre, sent his servants unto Solomon, for he had heard that they had anointed him king in the room of his father, for Hiram was ever a lover of David. And Solomon sent to Hiram, saying, thou knowest how that David my father could not build an house unto the name of the Lord Yahawah his power, for the wars which were about him on every side, unto the Lord Yahawah put them under the soles of his feet. But now the Lord Yahawah my power have given me rest on every side, so that there is neither adversary nor evil occurrent. And behold, I purpose to build an house unto the name of the Lord Yahawah my power, as the Lord Yahawah spake unto David my father, saying, thy son, whom I will set upon thy throne in thy room, he shall build an house unto my name. Now therefore command thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servants shall be with thy servants, and unto thee will I give hire for thy servants, according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew timber like unto the Sidonians. All right. Hey, so hey, Solomon in this sense was like, hey, this is something that I know my people can't do. But we know that you're skilled in that. We need you for this great act. Plus, we're going to make an alliance because, hey, all nations around about have been subdued militarily. We're beating your swords and your spears into pruning hooks and plowshares. Pretty much your economy is now for expansion and enterprise and collaboration and consolidation, but not for war. All right, so hey, it's going to be a prosperous time, a golden age, so to speak, an economy, both foreign and domestic. Things are good. All right. It says, now therefore command thou that they hew me cedar trees out of Lebanon, and my servants shall be with thy servants. And unto thee will I give hire for thy servants according to all that thou shalt appoint. For thou knowest that there is not among us any that can skill to hew timber like unto the Sidonians. And it came to pass, when Hiram heard the words of Solomon, that he rejoiced greatly and said, Blessed be the Lord YAHAWAH this day, which have given unto David a wise son over this great people. And Hiram sent to Solomon, saying, I have considered the things which thou sentest to me for, and I will do all that thy desire concerning timber of cedar and concerning timber of fir. My servants shall bring them down from Lebanon unto the sea on the ships. I will convey them by sea in floats unto the place that thou shalt appoint me, and will cause them to be discharged there, and thou shalt receive them, and thou shalt accomplish my desire in giving food for my household. So Hiram gave Solomon cedar trees and fir trees according to all his desire. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 measures of wheat for food to his house. You got to remember, our land was plenteous. The land flowing with milk and honey. And we're known, our people were skilled in what? Husbandry. We were husbandmen, we were farmers. And we had a great land. And all families had land, as we read. So giving this man provisions of wheat and all that to his house was nothing, especially coming out of Israel. And they were getting things coming in. We're exporting and importing. Okay? So it goes to show you. BARAK YAHAWASHI. All right? But it is the Lord power that maketh us rich. Okay? It's not by our own hands. All right? Now, as Solomon was all about administration. Call all you YAHAWASHI. He not laborers work. Laborers. So like it. Laborers. Hate not. Let me get that. Hate not. Yep. Ecclesiasticus 7 and 15. Hate not laborers' work, neither husbandry, which the Most High have ordained. See that? It says 1 Kings 5 and 11. And Solomon gave Hiram 20,000 measures of wheat for food to his household, and 20 measures of pure oil. Thus gave Solomon to Hiram year by year. Okay, and the Lord YAHAWAH gave Solomon wisdom as he promised him, and there was peace between Hiram and Solomon, and they two made a league together. Conscription of the laborers. Let's read it in the NLT. Then King Solomon conscripted a labor force of 30,000 men from all Israel. He sent them to Lebanon in shifts, 10,000 every month, so that each man would be 1 month in Lebanon and 2 months at home. Adoniram was in charge of this labor force. Solomon also has 70,000 common laborers and 80,000 quarry workers in the hill country, and 3,600 foremen to supervise the work. At the king's command, they quarried large blocks of high-quality stone and shaped them to make the foundation of the temple. Men from the city of Gebo helped Solomon and Hiram's builders prepare the timber and stone for the temple. So there's a lot of preparation. But you see how the building of the Lord's house was, the highest point. Because, hey, if we do what YAHAWASHI needs us to do, then best believe he's going to bless our house and whatever we need if we put what he demands first. That's why during the time when we were rebuilding the temple, I believe it was it Haggai? I believe it's Haggai and Zechariah was cursing our people out, saying, what, you going to just live in your sealed houses while the house of the Lord lays waste? Like, get your ass up and get to work. But it goes to show you that Solomon and the men of Israel at that time was like, hey, we got to build the house of the Lord. We got to do what the Lord is telling us to do. And then once we do what he has commanded us to do, oh, best believe he's going to bless us. That's like Solomon said, they spent these many months in Lebanon and these many months at home. But it was all about administration and the work and the building of the nation. Nation building. All right? Praise ye the Lord. It says, it was in mid-spring in the month of, where we at? What happened? The building of the temple, right? Okay, bear with me, brothers. Okay. Yep. 1 Kings 6:1. It says, it was in the mid-spring in the month of Ziv, during the 4th year of Solomon's reign, that he began to construct the temple of the Lord. This was 480 years after the people of Israel were rescued from their slavery in the land of Egypt. Man. It says the temple that King Solomon built for the Lord was 90 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 45 feet high. The entry room at the front of the temple was 30 feet wide, running across the entire width of the temple. It projected outward 15 feet from the front of the temple. Solomon also made narrow, recessed windows throughout the temple. He built a complex of rooms against the outer wall of the temple, all the way around the sides and rear of the building. The complex was 3 stories high, the bottom floor being 7.5 feet wide, the second floor 9 feet wide, and the top of the floor 10.5 feet wide. The rooms were connected to the wall of the temple by beams resting on the ledges built out from the wall, so the beams were not inserted into the walls themselves. The stone used in the construction of the temple were finished at the quarry, so there was no sound of hammer, axe, or any other iron tool at the building site. Hey, that's the spirit. The entrance to the bottom floor was on the south side of the temple. There were winding stairs going up the second floor and another flight of stairs between the second and third floors. After completing the temple structure, Solomon put in a ceiling made of cedar beams and planks. As already stated, he built a complex of rooms on 3 sides of the building, attached to the temple walls by cedar timbers. Each story, the complex was 7.5 feet high. Then the Lord Yahweh gave this message to Solomon concerning this temple you are building. If you keep all my decrees and regulations and obey all my commands, I will fulfill through you the promise I made to your father David. I will live among the Israelites and will never abandon my people Israel. It says the temple's interior. So Solomon finished the building of the temple. Finished building the temple. The entire inside from floor to ceiling was paneled with wood. He paneled the walls and ceilings with cedar, and he used planks of cypress for the floors. He partitioned off an inner sanctuary, the most holy place, at the far end of the temple. It was 30 feet deep and was paneled with cedar from floor to ceiling. The main room of the temple outside the most holy place was 60 feet long. Cedar paneling completely covered the stone walls throughout the temple, and the paneling was decorated with carvings of gourds, and open flowers. He prepared the inner sanctuary at the far end of the temple, where the ark of the Lord, Yahweh's covenant, would be placed. This inner sanctuary was 30 feet long, 30 feet wide, and 30 feet high. He overlaid the inside with solid gold. He also overlaid the altar made of cedar. Then Solomon overlaid the rest of the temple interior with solid gold, and he made gold chains to protect the entrance to the most holy place. So he finished overlaying the entire temple with gold, including the altar that belonged to the most holy place. He made 2 cherubims of wild olive wood, each 15 feet tall, and placed them in the inner sanctuary. The wingspan of each of the cherubims was 15 feet, each wing being 7.5 feet long. The 2 cherubims were identical to the in shape and size. Each was 15 feet tall. He placed them side by side in the inner sanctuary of the temple. Their outspread wings reached from wall to wall, while the inner wings touched at the center of the room. Man, that must have been a sight to see. He overlaid the 2 cherubims with gold. He decorated all the walls of the inner sanctuary and the main room with carvings of cherubims, palm trees, and open flowers. He overlaid the floor in both rooms with gold. It smelled beautiful, looked beautiful. Man, it was a stunning ordeal. All right. Man, for the entrance to the inner sanctuary, he made double doors of wild olive wood with 5-sided doorposts. These double doors were decorated with carvings of cherubims, palm trees, and open flowers. The doors, including the decorations of cherubim and palm trees, were overlaid with gold. Then he made 4-sided doorposts of wild olive wood for the entrance to the temple. There were 2 folding doors of cypress wood, and each door was hinged to fold back upon itself. These doors were decorated with carvings of cherubim, palm trees, open flower, all overlaid evenly with gold. The wall of the inner courtyard were built so that there was 1 layer of cedar beams between each 3 layers of finished stone. The foundation of the Lord's temple was laid in mid-spring in the month of Ziv during the 4th year of Solomon's reign. The entire building was completed in every detail by mid-autumn in the month of Bull during the 11th year of his reign. So it took 7 years to build the temple. Hey, that's the spirit, man. So, hey, it took 7 years to build the temple. In the 4th year of Solomon's reign, the foundations was laid and built and perfected and on point. Then it took, another 3 to finish the temple. And then you already got you know the land was prosperous. All families had land, cattle, food, and then the temple itself was beautified and lovely. Then Solomon built his own house, the palace, the city of Jerusalem was, hey man, it was a golden age. An economy was luscious and flourishing. Yeah, man, it was a sight to see, you know. And this is only the beginning, because certain nations and rulers of nations are going to come down to hear the wisdom of Solomon. Then they're going to bring provisions and tribute. And then Solomon is going to open up the trade routes. And then through the trade routes, make alliances, marry wives with concubines from the other nations, to make alliances and pacts with these nations to keep them in line. And then he's going to have the traffic on sea to bring things that other nations don't even know anything about, to bring back, to beautify what? Jerusalem. So, we're going to continue. Let me see here. Let's go to the next chapter. Solomon's palace. It's 1 Kings 7:1. Solomon's palace. But Solomon was building his own house 13 years, and he finished all his house. Let's read in NLT. One of Solomon's buildings was called the Palace of the Forest of Lebanon. It was 150 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. There were 4 rows of cedar pillars, and great cedar beams rested on the pillars. The hall had a cedar roof. Above the beams on the pillars were 40 and 5-side rooms, arranged in 3 tiers of 15 each. On each end of the long hall were 3 rows of windows facing each other. All the doorways and doorposts had rectangular frames and were arranged in sets of 3 facing each other. Solomon also built the halls of pillars, which was 75 feet long and 45 feet wide. There was a porch in front along with the canopy supported by pillars. Solomon also built the throne room, known as the Hall of Justice, where he sat to hear legal matters It was paneled with cedar from floor to ceiling. Solomon's living quarters surrounded a courtyard, being this hall, and they were constructed the same way. He also built similar living quarters for Pharaoh's daughter, whom he had married. From foundation to eaves, all these buildings were built from huge blocks of high-quality stone cut with saws and trimmed to exact measures on all sides. Some of the huge foundation stones were 15 feet long, and some were 12 feet long. The blocks of high-quality stone used in the walls were also cut to measure, and cedar beams were also used. The walls of the great courtyard were built so that there was one layer of cedar beams between every 3 layers of finished stone, just like the walls of the inner courtyard of the Lord Yahweh's temple, with its entry room, furnishing for the temple. King Solomon then asked for a man named Hiram out of Tyre to come from Tyre. He was half Israelite, since his mother was a widow from the tribe of Naphtali, and his father had been was a widow's son, widow from the tribe of Naphtali, so he wasn't half nothing. If he's whatever his father is, that's what he is. But he did have a close connection to Israel, in the sense I'll give him that. And his father had been a craftsman in bronze from Tyre. Hiram was extremely skillful and talented in any work in bronze, and he came to do all the metal work for King Solomon. It says Hiram cast 2 bronze pillars, each 27 feet tall and 18 feet in circumference. For the tops of the pillars, he cast bronze capitals, each 7.5 feet tall. Each capital was decorated with 7 sets of lattice work and interwoven chains. He also encircled the lattice work with 2 rows of pomegranates to decorate the capitals over the pillars. The capital over the columns inside the entry room were shaped like water lilies, and they were 6 feet tall. The capitals on the 2 pillars had 200 pomegranates in 2 rows around them, besides the rounded surface next to the lattice work. Hiram set the pillars at the entrance of the temple, one toward the south and one toward the north. He named the one on the south Jachin and the one on the north Boaz. The capitals on the pillars were shaped like water lilies, and so the work of the pillars was finished. Then Hiram cast a great round basin, 15 feet across from rim to rim, called the sea. It was 7.5 feet deep and about 45 feet in circumference. It was encircled just below its rim by 2 rows of decorative gourds. There were about 6 gourds per foot all the way around, and they were cast as part of the basin. The sea was placed on the base of the 12 bronze oxen, all facing outward. 3 faced north, and 3 faced west, 3 faced south, and 3 faced east, and the sea rested on them. The walls of the sea were about 3 inches thick, and its rim flared out like a cup and resembled a water lily blossom. It could hold about 11,000 gallons of water. Man, the beauty of the temple and Solomon's home, and imagine the capital, imagine our land. Ah, man, everybody wanted to come into Jerusalem. Jerusalem was the place to be, and this was just only the beginning. So with that, giving all praises, glory, and honor unto YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM QADASH, for whom we do function. Double honors unto my apostles, my elders, and my teachers at Great Millstone that are ruling well and continue to do so. Salutations, peace, and blessings unto the hopeful elect, that house of David. To you brothers out there fighting this good fight of faith, Shalawam. And to you sisters doing that which is becoming of women, Shalawam. And to those that are addicted unto this ministry, I say Shalawam. It's going to be a continuation of this. It will be also the fight for Jerusalem, you know, the house management economy, but it's going to be known as the fight for Jerusalem, okay? economy, all right, and trade and traffic. I'm gonna call it trade and traffic, and we're gonna just continue on what we've been reading about. This is just going into the temple, the beauty of that. But it took enterprise and skill and craftsmen and a lot of administrative work to build this temple, and not only the temple but the city, the rooms, his palace, the houses, the men. All right, the best wood and everything. But then we in the next lesson, those when we get into the Navy, we're gonna get into the gold, we're gonna get into the tribute and those of these nations coming down to pay tribute. So with that, giving all praises, glory, and honor once again unto YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, BAHASHAM, QADASH. Salutations, peace, and blessings unto the hopeful elect, that house of David. And Lord's willing, this gets you believers and listeners wanted to dive and delve more into our history and into the greatness and beauty of our land. Just hearing about it, but man, what a sight to behold. But hey, it's gonna be even greater when we get back into the land. So with that, call all Yimla, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM QADASH, YAHAWASHI, BARAK AHTHAM. Double honors unto my apostles and elders at Great Millstone once again. Salutations, peace, and blessings unto the hopeful elect, that house of David, you brothers, you sisters, and you believers. Lord's when you've been edified. Until the next time I say, Shalawam.